At Thanksgiving dinner, my sister suddenly stood up and declared, "We took a vote, and you're no longer part of this family." The room burst into applause. I let out a soft laugh and replied, "Well, I guess you won't be needing this anymore." I set a folder down on the table. The moment she opened it, she started screaming. Before the turkey could be carved, Lucia rose from her chair, wearing that polished, smug smile she always wore when she was about to ruin someone's day. "Before we dig in," she announced, voice full of false sweetness, "there's something we need to say." The room went dead quiet. Forks froze midair. My stomach twisted into a knot. I knew that tone. It's the same one she used when she got me grounded at 14 for a party I didn't even attend. "We took a family vote," she went on, scanning the table like a pageant queen awaiting her crown. "And we've decided you're no longer part of this family." Silence, and then applause. Yes, actual clapping. Carla, my cousin, clapped like we were at a Taylor Swift concert. Uncle Javier raised his wine glass as if to toast the declaration. Even my mother, my own mother, laughed and said, "Well, someone had to say it." I sat there frozen, eyes locked on my plate. The stuffing was cold, but my blood boiled. My father didn't even look up, just took a long sip of beer and muttered, "Probably for the best." "Wow," I said, pushing my chair back slowly. "Did you all seriously rehearse this?" Lucia's grin only widened. "You've been toxic for years," she replied. "We're finally done pretending." "You're not family anymore," my mother added casually, reaching for the cranberry sauce like we were talking about the weather. It was unanimous. I looked around the table. Not a single voice came to my defense. Not one. "All right," I said softly, then reached into my bag. "I figured this might happen," I added, pulling out a thick folder and setting it down in the center of the table. The thunk it made sliced right through the laughter. Lucia blinked. "What's that?" she asked. I leaned back in my chair, folded my arms, and smiled. "Why don't you find out?" She snatched it up and opened it with that smug expression she always wore when she thought she'd already won. She flipped to the first page, and the smile evaporated. Her face turned ghostly pale. Her eyes jumped to the next page, and the next. Then she screamed. Not just a yelp, a full-on horror movie scream. Her chair toppled behind her as she sprang to her feet and slammed the folder shut like it had bitten her. "You're a monster," she yelled. "A twisted, heartless freak." Gasps rippled around the table. Ruben, her husband, grabbed the folder and opened it. His jaw fell open as he read. Then he looked at me. "Is this—" "Every word," I said, nodding once. "Every receipt, every screenshot. It's all real." The table fell into absolute silence. From the kitchen, the soft clink of a fork hitting tile echoed like thunder. My mother's mouth opened, then closed again, like a fish gulping for air. "You were all so sure I wouldn't fight back," I said, standing slowly. "So sure I'd stay the quiet one, the doormat, the ATM. But guess what?" I leaned in, stared Lucia straight in the eyes. "Your little performance? It's over. You want to know what was in that folder? We'll get there. But first, let me tell you how we ended up in this mess." Because Lucia didn't just wake up one day and decide I wasn't family. That judgment was built over time, layer after layer. Offhand comments, tiny betrayals, the slow burn of exclusion. I was never the favorite, not even close. Lucia was the golden child, the polished gem. Straight A's, perfect smile, always knew how to charm a room. She could lie to someone's face and walk away with a thank you. Me? I was quiet, private. I didn't need attention, and that infuriated them. They mistook my silence for weakness. I left home at 19. Put myself through college, worked 2 jobs, never asked for a dime. Meanwhile, Lucia flunked out of 2 majors, gallivanted across Europe to find herself, and came back married to Ruben, the human version of a LinkedIn profile in a blazer. The wedding? I paid for half of it. My parents said they couldn't afford it, yet somehow they managed to set sail on a 2-week cruise right afterward. I never said a word, not once. Even when they joked that I was the family accountant, I kept stepping in. I covered Dad's dental surgery, wired money when Mom claimed they couldn't afford heating, and even helped cover part of my cousin Carla's college tuition when her scholarship fell through. They always said thank you, of course, but it came with that undertone, the kind that implied, well, naturally you'd help. It's not like you have a family of your own. And maybe that's where everything shifted. See, I'm single, no kids, no partner, no household chaos, just me, my work, and my dog. And to them, that meant I had nothing better to do than bankroll their emergencies, especially Lucia. She treated me like her personal safety net. When Ruben lost his job, I was the first call. Just a small loan. When her car broke down, it was, "You're making 6 figures, 2 grand's nothing to you." When her daughter needed therapy and insurance wouldn't cover it, guess who picked up the tab? I always said yes, always, because I kept telling myself, it's family. But eventually, helping turned into obligation. Obligation turned into expectation. Expectation twisted into demand. It started subtly. Backhanded jokes at dinner. "Oh, you brought wine? Must be nice to afford the fancy stuff. Of course you're early. You don't have kids to wrangle. Wish I could work late and avoid my husband too." Then it escalated. "You're so emotionally distant. Maybe that's why you're still alone. You don't know real stress. You don't have a real life. You're bitter because no one needs you." Except they did need me. Constantly. Financially, quietly. Behind closed doors. Then came the text. "Lucia, hey, would you be a co-signer on a small loan? Rubina and I want to open a clean-eating cafe." Me, again. "Lucia? Wow. Seriously?" And then, radio silence. That was 3 months ago. Since then, they've iced me out. Mom stopped calling. Dad sent one-word replies. No one invited me to the last family dinner. Lucia blocked me on social media after posting a story about cutting out toxic people. But I didn't fall apart. I started digging up receipts. Literally. Because here's the thing. I keep records. Bank transfers, emails, screenshots, dates. I'm not careless. In just the last 5 years alone, I'd sent over $85,000 to various family members. $85,000. $9,000 for Ruben's rehab. $2,500 for Lucia's dental emergency, which turned out to be cosmetic veneers. $1,600 for Dad's back surgery. $13,000 to pay off Mom's credit card debt. $6,000 for Carla's college move. $4,800 for a so-called family emergency that was actually a vacation in Cabo. And not once, not one single time, did anyone offer to pay me back. They just kept taking. And when I stopped giving, suddenly I was the problem. So I made the folder. Inside was every single receipt, every transfer confirmation, every email and text asking for money. Screenshots of Lucia calling me manipulative to a friend after I turned down the cafe loan. A timeline of every major payment I'd made for the past 5 years. And to top it off, copies of Facebook and Instagram posts mocking me. I've got screenshots of Lucia calling me a spineless cash cow in a private thread she didn't realize I had access to. So, yeah, that's what she saw when she opened the folder. That's what made her scream. Because Lucia wasn't just exposed, she was unraveled, detail by detail, line by line, every word laid bare. And all the while, the rest of the family slowly began to grasp what they had enabled. My mother looked like she might faint. "Ruben," she whispered, staring down at the printed line. 4,200 euros charged to Lucia's credit card, used for a hotel in Marbella with someone named Patricia. She read aloud, voice barely holding together. Then, only one question. "What is this?" I said nothing. I didn't need to. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to defend myself. I was just handing them the truth. "Did you keep all the records?" Mom finally asked, her voice shaking. I turned to her, calm, steady. "You never remembered anything," I said. "So someone had to." Lucia stood frozen, pale, her fists clenched at her sides. Her eyes darted from Ruben to me, then to the folder on the table. "This is a violation," she hissed. "You had no right." "No right?" I said, rising slowly to my feet. "You just stood in front of this whole family and declared I no longer belong here. You all clapped. And now you're upset because I came prepared?" Ruben flipped another page in the folder. "What's this about Marbella?" he asked, tension tightening his voice. Lucia's head snapped toward him. "Don't start." "Who's Patricia?" he pressed. "Why were you at a hotel for 3 nights using my card?" Her silence hit louder than any words could. "Hold on," my mother interrupted, raising both hands. Can we all just take a breath and talk calmly? Sure, I said easily. Let's be calm. Let's talk about that time you called me a leech while cashing the check I sent you. Her eyes widened. That's not fair. We were under a lot of pressure. No, I said sharply. You were under pressure, and I got you out of it, again and again and again. And the one time I didn't, suddenly I'm the villain. My father, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. You're blowing this out of proportion. This doesn't have to be so dramatic. I turned toward him, my voice lower but no less firm. You let them do this to me, for years. You knew, you saw, you heard, and you let it happen because it was easier than standing up to them. He didn't deny it. Lucia slammed her hand on the table. You're just bitter because nobody needs you anymore. You're wrong, I said, ice in my voice. I'm not bitter. I'm done. She let out a sharp, ugly laugh. You're pathetic. Do you even realize how ridiculous you look? Coming here with a folder, printing out screenshots? You think that makes you the victim? You're just proving you're a controlling freak. And you're just proving, I snapped, that I only mattered to you as long as I was paying your bills. You don't get to play the victim, she yelled. You chose to help. No one forced you. And yet, I said, stepping forward, you expected it. Every time. Until it wasn't help anymore. It was duty. And when I finally stopped, what did you all do? You voted to throw me out? My voice cracked, not from sadness, but from fury. You didn't want a brother. You wanted a wallet with legs. Ruben stood slowly, still holding the folder. Is this true? He asked, looking directly at Lucia. All of it? She looked at him, and for the first time she had no answer. No tears, no distractions, just silence. You lied to me, he said, about the hotel, about the money, about him. You made it seem like I was losing my mind. I had to, she snapped. He was turning everyone against me. No, I told her, voice calm now. You did that all by yourself. The room fell into silence again. Then my mother leaned forward, giving it one last try. Her voice softened. Listen, sweetheart, maybe we overreacted, but we're still family. Families argue. Let's just put this behind us and— I don't think you're hearing me, I cut in. She blinked, caught off guard. What? I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you, it's over. Lucia's lips curled into that familiar sneer. Oh, please, stop pretending this is some big revelation. You've said this before. I looked her dead in the eyes. Not like this. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. What now? My father muttered, visibly worn down. I tossed the envelope on the table. Ruben caught it just before it slid off the edge. He opened it, read the first line, and his eyes widened in disbelief. What is this? He whispered. I answered for him. Revocation forms. Power of attorney. Gone. Medical proxy. Revoked. Emergency contact. Removed. I've already signed everything. Legally and emotionally, I'm no longer responsible for any of you. My mother gasped. You're cutting us off completely? Completely, I said, starting right now. You're being selfish, she said, tears pooling in her eyes. We made mistakes, sure, but we're still your family. I looked at her, my voice low, unwavering and calm. Number not anymore. I grabbed my coat, gave them one final look, then walked out, leaving them frozen around a Thanksgiving table gone cold, surrounded by untouched food and truths that couldn't be reheated. I left. I didn't look back. Not because it didn't hurt, it did, but as I closed the door behind me and stepped into the crisp night air, something in me shifted. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't head straight home. Instead, I drove to the lake my dad used to take me to when I was little, the one where we'd fish in the early mornings before the world woke up. I sat there in silence, staring out over the still water, and I felt something I hadn't in years. There was no pull, no pressure, no guilt. No one expecting a check, a favor, or an apology disguised as a holiday visit. Just silence. The next morning, still quiet. The day after that, nothing. But on the third day, the messages started rolling in. First my mother, one missed call, then another, then a voicemail. Were you serious? We were angry, sure, but we're still your family. I didn't reply. Then came Lucia's texts. You don't even realize what you've done. Ruben's filing for divorce. You happy now? There's something really wrong with you. Then my father. You went too far. We all said things we didn't mean. But what you did, that was a nuclear strike. Your mother's heartbroken. Come fix this. I ignored every message. And truthfully, I thought I'd feel awful. I thought I'd lie awake at night, asking myself if I'd gone too far. But instead, I slept better than I had in a decade. I didn't flinch when my phone buzzed. I didn't brace for the next guilt trip, dressed up as a crisis. I wasn't fielding midnight requests wrapped in shame. For the first time in 10 years, I could hear my own thoughts. I started waking up early. I began jogging again. I brewed my coffee slowly without urgency. I made appointments with the dentist, the doctor, even a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I finally had the space to care for myself. I updated my emergency contacts. My parents were gone from the list. I changed every password. I froze all joint accounts they had access to. I blocked Lucia on every platform. It wasn't about you having paid my tuition anymore. I'm sorry. I got swept up in the group. You were always the one who truly stepped up to help. I didn't reply, but I read it. Twice. And then, another surprise. Ruben messaged me. I've submitted the paperwork. Everything in that folder checked out. He lied to me, manipulated me, just like he did to you. He added, you did the right thing. I should have walked away a long time ago. I didn't expect it, but his words landed. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I applied for a job in another city. Not to run away, but because finally I was free. No more, you should stay close to home. No more, but who will take care of them if you leave? I started reaching out to friends I hadn't seen in ages. People I'd pushed away for years because I was always caught up in family drama. And the most unexpected thing? Some of them had seen my post on a local community board. They got in touch. Just to say, we're proud of you. That took courage. No one asked me for anything. No guilt trips, no twisted retellings of the past. Just support, pure, honest, and clean. Someone asked me, don't you regret it? I thought about it for a moment. Then I answered, I only regret not doing it sooner. I figured that was the end. And in many ways, it was. But with people like them, things never end quietly, especially when they start feeling the weight of your absence. The first few weeks after Thanksgiving passed in silence. Beautiful, eerie silence. No calls, no guilt, just peace. Until Christmas arrived. On December 22nd, I got a message from my mother. Just a photo. Their living room, decked out with stockings, a half-decorated tree, and right in the center, a huge empty spot where the gifts used to be piled. It doesn't feel the same without you, the caption read. Claudia keeps asking why her uncle won't be here this year. I stared at the picture for a long time. No apology, no ownership, just the same old manipulative tone. Look what you've done. Look who you're hurting. I didn't answer. On December 23rd, Lucia tried to call. I let it ring. Then a text arrived. I know I messed up, but you don't have to punish everyone. Just come by to see Claudia. She misses you. 2 minutes later. Also, Mom and Dad are behind on the mortgage. I know you don't care anymore, but the bank called today. Thought you should know. And there it was, the ask. Always wrapped in guilt, always sweetened with concern, but always ending the same way, with a request. I blocked the number. December 24th. Another message, this time from my father. We get it. You've made your position clear, but enough is enough. We need help. We're still your family. That night, I sat alone by the fireplace, glass of wine in hand. I looked around my small apartment. No tree, no chatter, just me and the silence they once said would break me. And for the first time in my life, I was thankful for that silence. But it didn't stop there. January came. A call from an unfamiliar number. I picked up without thinking. Is this Augusto? A man's voice asked. Yes, who's calling? My name is Miguel, he said. I'm calling on behalf of your father. He mentioned you're the primary trustee of the family trust. Is that correct? I froze. That role was revoked 2 months ago, I said. The family lawyer handled everything. My name's no longer on anything. Miguel paused. Understood. Your father said he couldn't reach you directly and asked me to explore options. They're in a bit of a tight spot. Of course they were. Lucia and my parents had run out of options. The ATM was closed, the safety net gone. Now they were improvising. I hung up without saying another word, but the final straw came in February. A letter arrived in the mail. A letter, handwritten. No return address. But the handwriting, it was unmistakably my mother's. Inside 3 pages. The first one bled with regret. We said things we didn't mean. You were always the strong one. We never realized how much we leaned on you. The second page leaned heavily on guilt. Your father's health is deteriorating. Lucia is all alone now. We're worried about Claudia. She's not doing well. And the third page, that's where the trap was set. We're selling the house, but we owe more than it's worth. Just a little help to get us through. After that, we won't ask for anything else. Please, Augusto, do it for your father. For the family, I sat with that letter in my hands for a while, letting it all wash over me. The carefully crafted guilt, the quiet demand draped in sentiment, the crushing sense of duty, the aching impulse to fix what's broken. Then I folded the letter, got up, walked to the kitchen, and dropped it in the trash. Here's the truth. They weren't asking for help. They were asking for access. Again. They didn't want me back. They wanted the version of me who never said no, the one who paid in silence, sacrificed in silence, suffered in silence. But that version of me, he's gone. I'm no longer their scapegoat, no longer their golden goose, no longer the duct tape holding together a broken home. I'm done. And the thing that terrifies them most, I'm actually okay without them. I got a new job, moved to a new city, a bigger apartment. A fresh start. I started volunteering on weekends, not because someone needed me to, but because I wanted to. I built a life where no one calls me at 11 at night to clean up a mess they won't take ownership of. A life where independence isn't punished, where kindness isn't currency. I don't regret helping them. I only regret how long it took me to stop. You want to know what real peace looks like? It's not being surrounded by family. It's being free from the people who only remember your family when they want something. Update, months later. I didn't expect this story to resonate. Honestly, I just needed to put it somewhere. Say it out loud. But I read every comment. To those who said, "You were brave. They don't deserve you. Thank you." I didn't know how badly I needed to hear that until I did. And to the few who asked, "What if they change?" Yeah, I've asked myself that too. It's been a few months. They haven't. After I cut them off, after the file, the shouting, the silence, the letters, I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would get it. That they'd reflect. That they'd say, "We're sorry." They didn't. First they went quiet, then calculated, then desperate. Then they went back to being cruel. And me, I got free. Since then, I moved into a new place. I found a job that doesn't keep me up at night. I started real therapy. The kind where you stop trying to fix everyone else and finally learn to sit with yourself. Now I cook for myself. I sleep deeper. I go out more. I don't flinch when my phone vibrates. And yes, sometimes I think about Claudia, about what she's being taught, about what she'll grow up thinking is normal. But I also know this. I was the example. The one who, finally, said enough. A few days ago, I received another handwritten letter from my mother. 3 words. We're still family. No explanation, no apology, no change. Just the same old hook. And for the first time, I didn't feel a thing. Not anger, not sadness, just nothing. I tossed it in the trash and started making dinner. And now I'm back here. Because this space gave me a clarity I never expected. Strangers saw me more clearly than my own blood ever did. So here's what I want to ask. Did I do the right thing? Cutting the cord, dropping the weight, saying no and meaning it? Was I too harsh? Or did I finally stop being the only one holding everything together? I don't know. But I do know this. For the first time in my life, I'm not surviving. I'm living. For the first time in my life, I'm not surviving. I'm living. Thanks for reading. I'm still here, listening.